Well, welcome to the podcast. Nathan Newberry here, your host. I got Craig Ballantyne here. You guys are going to hear his story, but he's a well-known guy. He has a big following on YouTube and Instagram. He's coached the Bedros guy, the Joe Polish. He knows, Russell Brunson and all these influencers. And so he's been around for a while, but he teaches people how to grow online. And we're going to get some expertise from him. And he just wrote a book called The Dark Side of Discipline, and he's helping entrepreneurs kind of like really streamline things where it's not the hustle mindset. So you guys are going to really get some expertise there. Toward the end of this interview, I hope to really touch on a lot of tactics from Craig too. So stay toward the end, and we're going to really kind of dive into some of those things at the end there. Before we dive in, I want to really kind of give everybody that's listening a free workshop down below in the show notes here. There's a workshop I created to help you grow to 6 and 7 figures, leveraging media teams, ads, AI. And so we want to really help you out. Go check that whole workshop down below. It's my gift to you. Craig, I appreciate you being on. This is a pleasure to have you on. The first question I want to ask everybody on this podcast, and I'd love to get your take on this, is what is high performance? What does that look like? What does that mean to you? What have you seen with all the clients that you've coached over the years and being an athlete yourself? What does that kind of resonate and define?
Well, I think that high performance is knowing where you want to get to and staying focused on getting towards it. And of course, setting high standards for yourself and great goals. But most people don't know what they want, and they're very reactive. And so they are very scattered and they try a million things. They aren't reflective of themselves and think like, oh, here are my talents and my strengths. Therefore, I should concentrate my efforts here. And it's unfortunate. And so many people are stopped from being high performers by their distraction.
Yeah, yeah. Now talk to the audience here of you have a book that you just released, but like how do people know you? What are some successes that you have and how you serve people now?
Right. Yeah, man. So, I'm an old guy. So I'm 49 years old and I started selling stuff on the internet in 2001. In 2000, I had one of my biggest breakthroughs. I started writing for Men's Health magazine, which at the time, when magazines were a thing before the internet, that was the biggest magazine in the fitness space in the world. And so that was my critical credibility. And that's a huge lesson for everybody watching, whether you have, a column in the local newspaper, you have a minute on local TV, or whether you have some other TV appearance or you've written a book or you've been in magazines, you need to leverage that critical credibility. It's the crowbar that sticks in the door and you leverage it and you crank it wide open. So I used that to build an email list, and I started selling my workout programs. And the first program I sold was on January 28th of 2001. And it was a Word document through PayPal. Word document, not a PDF, a Word document. So big lesson again, just start. So if you're thinking, oh, I got to set up this Shopify e-com store, no, just take, whatever you're selling down to the local flea market and let's see if it sells. Let's do something, real bootstrap. So in 2001, I started selling, and I built this brand in the fitness industry called Turbulence Training, which I ran from 2000 to 2015. We ran VSLs, we ran Facebook ads, everything that you teach and everything that people have to do in order to sell. We did it, email marketing, affiliate marketing, but I didn't love doing it anymore by the end of that career. And I got out. And over the years, people have been asking me, how the heck do you do all this? You're very productive. So I wrote my first book in 2015 called The Perfect Day Formula. And that's the one that Russell Brunson raves about. And we can talk about the value of that in a second. Then I wrote a book called Unstoppable because I had severe anxiety attacks early in my business career that sent me to the emergency room. So I wrote a book on how to overcome anxiety. And then my third book, published in 2019 or 2018, was The Perfect Week Formula. It is the ultimate time management book, Perfect Week Formula. And so that helped a lot of people as well. And then now we coach entrepreneurs, but we're not specifically online only. We have 8-figure construction companies, financial services, a lot of people that are offline, brick and mortar gyms, et cetera. But the one thing that I'll say there is that one of our huge breakthroughs that allows us to be successful today is Russell. This is another example of just take massive action because good things will happen. So I was in Joe Polish's Genius Network, which is a big mastermind group. I convinced Joe to buy a copy of my Perfect Day Formula kit, which is the book and a bunch of worksheets and tools, et cetera. and give them out to everybody at his Genius Network. Russell was in Genius Network. Russell went to an event. I didn't go to the same one, but Russell went home with the book. He read it on the plane. And then the next day, he made a 10-minute podcast. He used to have this podcast called Marketing in My Car, like where he drove
Yeah,
from
I
home to
remember that.
ClickFunnels. And he made an entire episode about how my book helped him be more productive. And there's one quote in that book that we started running ads. We started running, picture of Russell and the quote from that podcast in 2020. We've been running it for 5 years now, and it is still our number one performing ad for our courses and for our high ticket coaching. So again, one little thing, leverage, and we just maximize the heck out of it. So there's just stay in the game, do great things, and opportunities will come to you.
How did you know you were a little bit different, Craig? Like, bring us back to the very beginning. Was this like hustling with Boy Scouts, or
I was
like,
I
did you
was
grow
I
up
was
as an
not a
entrepreneur? Like, how
Yeah, I
did?
was not a lemonade stand entrepreneur, like you hear about. I
Yeah,
grew up on a farm in Canada, and I thought I got my first job in the sport nutrition industry in 2000, and I thought I was going to work for that company for 25 years. I was getting paid well, and I thought, this company is going on a rocket ship ride. I'm going to be part of it. And I thought I would do that. And then I found out I was unemployable, essentially, as most entrepreneurs do. And then I was doing stuff on the side, starting the online, and the online took off. And I realized I just wanted to sit behind a computer and read and write and teach people. And I just figured out how to do it. So I have a life by design, not by
yeah,
default, as they say.
yeah. And then, like, you writing books and you being online, like, tell us some of these like key principles that you've learned with trying to balance everything. Because you wrote books on it. You talk about even like going through it, and then your new book, The Dark Side of Discipline. You got to talk about like the hustle a little bit of what people do. They get into burnout. Like, how do you go about like designing the best day in a way for entrepreneurs that want to be online and they want more of that freedom in life and financial, and then even more impact too, which you're really heavy into?
Yeah. So one of the most important things for you to do is to figure out yourself and your daily productivity cycles. Everybody's got a time of day that I call magic time, a time of day when they're 3 times more creative, productive, and energetic than any other time of the day. Everybody has it. Now, the thing is, what most people do is they know there's like a 2 or 3 hour block where they're in the flow, but they give that to meetings, they give that to email, they give that to scrolling social media. And if they just took the hardest thing of their day and they did it at that time, they would triple their productivity. And it's generally going to be earlier in the day.
Mm.
So getting up and getting to work as quickly as possible is something that we teach. And a lot of people have these long morning routines, and they're filled with good things. But that's what the dark side of discipline is about. That people are chasing all of these good things, but it sacrifices the great thing. Like, it's nice that you read a book per week and you're in one of these book per week clubs, but you've always wanted to write a book and you don't have time to write a book because you're too busy reading the books for the book a week club. You're letting the good get in the way of the great. Or you want to start a side hustle, or you want to scale your 6-figure business to 7 figures. But man, you got 3 hours of 2-a-day workouts and cold plunging and all these other biohacks you have to do. You're letting the good get in the way of the great. And so people just mismanage their time, and they mismatch their energy and their mental capacity to the tasks that they need to do. And it's human nature to take the path of least resistance and say, oh, I just don't want to do that hard thing right now. I'll do something else. I'll stay busy. I'll do something good, but I'll avoid the great. And man, if you do that, day in, day out, a year goes by and you've gotten nowhere.
Yeah. And you talk about how you went to the emergency room because you were hustling so much too. It's like I see the maximizing the time, like you talk about, and I know a lot of people, they put workouts in the morning because they got the energy and they just want to batch it. But it's interesting that you're saying just focus on doing the hard things, like even what Brian Tracy talks about, like eating the frog
Yeah,
at the beginning
totally.
of the day,
Yeah, I'm
and then
I'm a huge believer in eating that frog, and so I went to the emergency room for a lot of reasons, and I was a very hypocritical person at the time. I was a binge drinker on the weekends, and I was a personal trainer and a good boy during the week, and it just didn't line up in my head. And I also am very introverted by nature, and I didn't use journaling, I didn't use meditation, I didn't use any of these things, and I just got. I don't know what you would describe it as, but it was over the holidays, and I had a lot of binge drinking over the holidays, and I was a personal trainer getting up early in the morning. So it was exhaustion. So I think when you hear about these actors that go in for exhaustion, it's probably what I experienced. They had probably had anxiety attack or panic attack from, just burning the midnight oil and doing stupid things. And so I had to clean myself up and I had to learn how to breathe properly. So I tried Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, meditation, all that stuff. And I found what worked for me. And I think that's very important for everybody listening is you got to find what works for you and then just go, this works for me. And that's nice that everybody else has 17 different things that they're posting on social media about, but I can't do all those 17 different things. Otherwise, it'll bring me back to being, stressed out because I have no
Mhm.
time for anything. So it's just the limitation. You really just have to set boundaries, and the self-reflection, introspection is a huge component of it.
I know nowadays we're in like a trust recession, being online because there's so many online influencers. Like you ran ads from very beginning, and then that went to VSL that then converted into either a book call or a sale. I want to ask you now with everything, I feel like there's a need for the middle of the funnel where people need to nurture them because I know Google came out with that, report talking about the 7-Eleven and 4 where it was like 7 hours of consumption and 11 different times at 4 different platforms. How do you go about designing your own strategy now and after what you've had to pivot with and what you kind of teach your clients to do now?
Well, I think the biggest thing that our stuff has shown us. So our evidence, our data shows that the right social proof in front of the right person is key. So our Russell ad works really well because we target people who have ClickFunnels as an interest, who like online marketing. So they have seen Russell. So now we are borrowing trust. So when you say there's a trust recession, sure, I've heard that phrase before, and yeah, maybe I think there's always been a trust recession, right? It's
Sure.
a catchy phrase, but so they have a massive amount of trust in Russell. We're going to borrow that because Russell said these things about me, and if Russell says that, the people that trust Russell will be more likely to trust me. So, did we get lucky or, opportunity, luck is opportunity meets preparation, right? And so we got our stuff in the right hands of people. And so that's how we're borrowing the trust. And now people trust me faster because Russell says, trust this guy. So for anybody listening, how can you do that? How can there's ways you can do it. You can get 50 no-name people to go through your program and give you social proof because a wall of social proof, you know, I've seen pages that are full of just, I don't know these people. They're just, Joe and Jane average, but they got amazing results. And it's just after 50 of them, I mean, the trust is there. Or you can, that's one extreme. And then the other extreme is like Russell, where it's one person with such a massive following and massive trust that you can borrow enough. And then there's everything in between. Social proof. And I actually shared this yesterday. You've read Sabri Subi's book, Sell Like Crazy?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh, okay. I think it's like a $2,000 course and a $20 book. I think it's a really fantastic book. The effort that he goes to sell a $5 book, like the sales page is got to be 50,000 words. It's insane. And I'm on it because I'm holding the book and I'm on it with a whole bunch of other people saying, go get this book. It's amazing, etc. And so there's a massive amount of social proof. And then, I went through his funnel the other day just to see what he's up to. I put my email in and now I'm getting his emails again. And he did an email the other day where he told his personal story. So you can build trust through your personal story about how he was broke and struggling and then did this, and this. Okay, great, because people can relate to that. So that's how you build some trust. And in it, after that, he just put 3 sentences of testimonials. He said, just like we helped this father and son builder team go from 3 million to 50 million. There's no names mentioned, no places mentioned, no details, but I still felt like that proof worked on me. Like I believed it. Now I've read his book and I've seen his emails. I've had him on my podcast, years ago when I was doing an interview podcast. So maybe it worked on me a little bit more because I had all that other trust with him. But I think that the social proof is the key element. If you're not getting people to buy that, and this just gives me an idea because one of my clients is kind of struggling with this right now and he's putting out his own content, but I'm like, man, he's probably not putting enough social proof out there. More social proof will fill in the gap in the trust recession, and you need to figure out a way to get it, is the
Hmm.
big bottom line.
That I think that's a big one. And now is that through just emails, or is that like everywhere in any
Well,
content,
yeah,
stories,
it's a
reels?
it's a great question. So right now, I've been doing some sales calls in our business just because we had a team member leave, and we have so many leads coming in. We were like putting people off for too long because they couldn't book a call. So I'm like, okay, put a couple on my calendar. And I got on a call with the guy, and during the conversation, we had a great conversation. I said, so was the video? So right now we have a 90-second video that goes to a 7-minute video, and then it's book a call. And he booked a call from that. And I'm like, have you ever read my video or my books? Have you watched any of my other videos? He goes, no. But I see Russell and Tony Robbins, and he mentioned another person always talking about you. Now, here's the thing. Tony Robbins has never said my name in his life. And the other person that he mentioned had never said my name in their life. But because the Russell had, so it's interesting, right? Like in his mind, even though these other two people have never mentioned me, somehow he fabricated this story that everybody talks about me. It was just such a fascinating moment because, okay, here's the thing. I put out YouTube videos, I put out books, I have podcasts, I have Instagram. And I'm not saying that this is the strategy everyone should follow, especially at the start. Like you should really figure out that one area where you're going to, be dedicated to it. And it's a really good extension of you and it's the best social media for you. But I am on all the platforms, and the accumulation effect of being everywhere all the time is helpful. Again, it's not the right strategy at first. You shouldn't, if you're just starting, you shouldn't try and be everywhere all the time on 5 social medias. You should figure out the one where you're really going to concentrate your efforts. But that's what we do. And so, I have a legacy. I've been around for a long time, again, like you can't fake 25 years and being in business. So that's, we get a lot of people like, oh, I heard of this. I heard of you, read your book 10 years ago. We had one guy sign up for coaching that literally read our book in 2018, hasn't bought anything since, been following us. And he finally, you know, spent 50 grand in coaching with us in the last year. It's like, just what a big jump. Right.
Yeah.
But it's the right time, right person. And so I would recommend that through your self-reflection, introspection, what social media is. Like, I'm not a TikTok guy. I don't put stuff on TikTok. I don't study TikTok. I don't use TikTok. Never had TikTok on my phone. Probably never will. And so I'm not going to go down a TikTok rabbit hole. But Instagram just makes sense to me. Everything about it, from the stories to the posts, like I know how to use it. It's natural from the day one that I started on it. I got it. And you do that self-reflection, you figure out, like, of the 5 major ones, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, which one should you spend your time on? Because I'm a big 80-20 guy. And the 80-20 principle is you get 80% of your results from 20% of your efforts. If there's 5 social medias, that means that one of them, 20%, is going to give you 80% of your results. And that's where you should probably put your time and effort, rather than taking that, if you have 5 hours a week for social media, 1 hour for each, no way. 4.5 hours on one and maybe 30 minutes on another is what I would recommend.
What about just leverage using your media team or scheduling tools? Because it's like, I'm a big advocate of being omnipresent, but focusing, like you're saying, on most of the platforms that get you the most output, but just making sure that the lights are turned on with some of the content.
Mhm. Yeah, so we hit them all, except for the TikTok one. And, we are present there because everyone, you've read the 5 love languages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I like to say that there's 5 communication languages. Everybody's got their own love language for sales. And so someone might come in, and I was just telling one of our salespeople this today. Someone came in on the funnel, right? The Facebook ad, and we've tried to communicate them with by text, by email, by Instagram, and by calling them. And the only way that they have communicated with us is by calling them. They just love to pick up the phone, which most people aren't like that, right? But most people like to be texted or emailed. And so if somebody comes in, you need to have all the lights on and all the social medias, because they might come in on LinkedIn and then you might find out that they actually like email, and eventually you get your email, and that's how it's best to communicate with them. Or they might have seen you on Instagram, but their love language, their sales language and communication language is LinkedIn. So even though they've watched all your content on Instagram, they hate communicating with people on DMs there. So they will go over to LinkedIn and message you there. And I've had all types of communication where people like will message me on Instagram and I won't hear back from them for 3 months. And they'll be like, "Oh, I rarely check my DMs." Why did you send me a DM then? Um, here's my number. Here's my LinkedIn. Communicate with me there. So you do need to have the lights on in all of them. People will come in different ways, and then you need to figure out as quickly as possible, where do they really communicate most of their time? Because most people do spend most of their time on one of these
Right.
socials. Figure out, and that way you'll keep the sales conversation going as rapidly as possible.
As a high performer, you end up always dreaming about like possibility. Being an entrepreneur, you want to do it all. And you have young kids, you're married, and you have all these different businesses, you have all these different things. How do you go about balancing everything there to make it so that you've really kind of have the best pursuit of what you're trying to accomplish in life?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the people and that you bring in and train underneath you and give them the responsibility. And this day and age, you can really move to a team quicker than ever, right? With Upwork, Fiverr, we use a program or a company called assistantly.com. Assistantly.com is run by a friend of mine. I don't make any money from it, but if you go to assistantly.com, they have found us people who not only do outbound sales or outbound setting calls, but we actually have a full-time salesperson from assistantly.com. Now, this person is overseas. They work overnight in their home country, but they will find you virtual assistants. They will find you social media people. And, it's much cheaper than being stateside. And so whatever it is that, as you grow your business, you get your first six figures, you need a virtual assistant. You definitely need a virtual assistant to schedule a bunch of your stuff, to post and all those sort of things. And then you're probably going to need, once you've found your social media that clicks, you're going to need somebody in there nearly full time doing all this stuff for you, doing messages, outbound, et cetera. And then, you're going to find your next opportunity. Maybe all of a sudden you're a YouTube star where you're going to need somebody to do all your thumbnails, and post your videos, edit your videos, and you can't be doing all of this stuff yourself. And the thing that I've actually done well is I don't know how to do anything tech related. Like, I'm a tech dunce. And so because I can't do it, therefore I have to get other people to do it. What I actually found when I started my first coaching business in like 2007 through 2015, we were coaching mostly fitness entrepreneurs. And what we found was, they were gym owners who wanted to go online mostly. And we found that the people who knew the most about building websites and most about editing videos and the most about that stuff were the people that had no success in growing an online business, because they were
Okay.
doing all of that.
Yeah.
And it was so sad and painful, because I'm like, you have a great program, you understand copywriting, and yet you're building the website and not writing the copy that could sell your program. And meanwhile, the people like me who are like, man, I can barely turn a computer on. Like, I don't turn my computer off ever, because I'm like worried it will never turn back on. So I restart it maybe like once every couple months and never do the updates. And like, I'm such a dummy, but it has saved me so much time, because I don't know how to go and update my website. It's like, oh, it's just a page, I'll go and do it. No, I'm like, hey, Mark, who's our tech guy, this needs to be done. And away I go. And it's the same with editing a video. Like, don't ever let me, I have no idea. And so you need to get that stuff off your plate, find good people, give them an environment in which they can flourish, and then they will be bringing more opportunity to you. And your job is to be the person, the chess master, who moves the chess pieces around on the board as you grow your businesses.
Now, you talked about overseas help, but then you also have local help too. What's your kind of balance between finding some key people here and then
It's a great
overseas?
question. I think the perfect world is I would have an office. So I used to, from 2010 to 2015, I bought a business with a business partner. He lived in Denver. So we set a physical office up in Denver. Denver started to get very expensive downtown, and our team members started moving outside of the city and commuting in. Then he started another business and we had a big office and people, we started letting people work from home in about 2016. And then I didn't like Denver, so I didn't want to spend time there. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're going to get rid of this office and go all virtual. And now everybody's everywhere. And there's stuff I miss about it
Mm.
because I believe like if I could snap my fingers and make everybody on my team move to Vancouver and have an office here, I would do it. But we are so spread out. Our media buyer lives in Rio de Janeiro. Our coaching staff is spread across the United States. We have some people in Toronto, which is where I used to live, and have another and I had a team there. And so there's no way that I could do it. But and we were actually my family and I lived in Mexico for the last 3 years because we had our children down there. And so we just moved back to Vancouver and this is where we'll be. And now I'm thinking, okay, now I'm finally ready to start building out some type of team here. And
Mhm.
maybe the team comes regularly because I really believe that um, there's a lot of value in the in office. So that would be my ideal, but it is not anywhere near possible right now. And so we make the most that we can from the virtual. And so then on the flip side, there is the talent and cost. You can get amazing talent if your search is global, right? Like my search is only Vancouver. It's a really great city, of course. I mean, it's a lot of people, very, very smart, lots of tech companies. So I'm going to find good people here, but I'm competing against Microsoft and Google and Amazon that have some big setups here. And there's a lot of programming companies. And so I was like, man. But now I get to go, global, and I can hire somebody in Rio de Janeiro for about 70% of the cost of what a media buyer would be in America. And they're as good or better. Well, I'm going to take that advantage, even if I have an office here in Vancouver, so there's all those things have to be considered and
Yeah,
you need to make the right decision for what's best for your business.
I like that. I think that's a brilliant way to do it. I'm right now working on building my own media team in specific locations, like you're saying, because I think there's an advantage
Mm-hmm.
for that for sure. I want to ask you this take on it. Alex Ramosi just wrote, the book $100 Million Leads. And he talks about the four ways people can get leads, right? You got the paid ads, which you're a big advocate. You got the free content. You got cold outbound and warm outbound,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about like, I feel like the biggest need for people online, they want consistency in leads and revenue,
Yeah,
like bottom
absolutely.
line,
Absolutely, man. That's
right?
the thing.
How do you go about like with your budget or allocation of your building your team of like narrowing down the scope of like, hey, this is how if I started all over again, this is what I would focus on.
Well, I think the holy grail is paid advertising. If you can make paid advertising work, I mean, everything else will work if you can make paid advertising work. It's the hardest thing to make work, but it is the thing. And if you can do that, like the richest guys I know how to do paid advertising.
Yeah.
Everybody else is inconsistent, and it's frustrating. And so,
People have been so like spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars and just burned it because they didn't do it right. What is the challenge now, especially because Meta keeps on changing some of that stuff that you found to be the best?
I think that it's a lot simpler
Okay.
than what like our funnel is very simple. It is the 90-second ad to the 7-minute video to book a call. And you know, it is the hardest thing, but it's the simplest thing, right? Like I always say that climbing Mount Everest is simple, right? You put one foot in front of the other and you go the same path that everybody takes. You don't have to invent a new way up, right? Like everybody goes the same way. And all you do is put one foot in front of the other. Now it is extremely difficult, but it is very simple. That's what you do. And it's the same with Facebook advertising. If you're willing to do the work and you have patience and you never give up, you'll eventually crack it. Now it's going to cost you some money. So there needs to be some money coming in from something else. The problem that I see when people do Facebook ads is they think, okay, well, if this is, if the ad to directly to the sale, that's probably too hard, but I can go and get free email addresses way cheaper. So I'm going to go that route. But you get a free email address and it's going to take forever to sell them, way longer, and they might never even work. So people think, oh, I'll go Facebook ad, free lead, and then I'll sell them, as if it's easy, but it's not. It's like, so you should start with, can I go from Facebook ad to sale? Can I just do direct? Because that's ideally where you want to get to. So you may as well start with that hardest thing first. And then if it's not like again, you don't have to be a rocket surgeon on this stuff. There are very defined metrics in every industry for how much a click should cost, how much a booked call should cost. Like, this stuff is easily found out through either conversation with somebody or, watching a bunch of YouTube videos of people who do it, and how it should go down. And then you have these benchmark standards that you operate against, and you find the one that's broken the worst, and you spend your time on fixing it. And then once you fix that one and brought it up to industry standards, you find the next one that's below. And eventually that's how you crack the code. The question is, do you have enough time, patience, and money to do that? But that's the ideal thing you should do. And yeah, there's always going to be these changing rules, but they change the rules in football and golf and stuff all the time. And you
Mhm.
just have to, and with even in daily life, they're changing the rules every single day right
Right.
now. The government is, Trump is, and, we just got to adapt to it, because you
Mhm.
don't have any other choice. So it's never going to be easy, but it's going to be relatively simple, which are they're not they can be it can be simple and hard at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, you've written books, you have your own podcast, you have your own content, you're on other people's podcasts as well. Like, has that been able to give you leverage and a lot of leads and more exposure than just the ads itself too?
Yeah, totally. And so but you have to be intentional about it. So there are times when I will do no podcasts, because if I don't have anything particularly pressing to promote, I shouldn't be doing it, because one mistake that most people make with their time is very common with podcasts is you see, oh, it's an hour podcast or it's a 30-minute podcast. No problem. I got 30 minutes. It's not 30 minutes. It's an hour, because you need at least 15 minutes before to wind down what you were doing, get prepared. And then you need 15 minutes after to get into the thing. So that 30-minute podcast is really an hour of your time. That hour podcast is 2 hours of your time. That hour meeting is 2 hours of your time. And so people die death of a thousand cuts by having their calendar look like an hour here and then an hour of this and then an hour of this. No, you got to batch and block it. Like, I've done multiple in a row. This is my last one. Then I have a break, and then I have 3 in the afternoon. So it's very, very time blocked and time batched. Now, in terms of the leverage from it, I usually have parameters around when I say yes or no to a podcast. So it's usually 1,000 downloads per show, or a certain number of followers on social media, or something or something or something, in order for me to say yes, because I could be doing 12 podcasts a day if I said yes to every single person.
Yeah.
And then it's also, is this person connected to another person? Recently I did it, and I rank everybody's podcast on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being like, this is a top tier. Number 5 is, man, you're doing somebody a favor because they have no audience. And I did a 5 because I knew this guy knew somebody. So this guy, G, got me on this show with another guy, and this other guy was the guy that I had to talk to get the introduction to a level 1 podcast. I knew that it would work if I did it. I did it, and now I'm on the level 1 podcast and getting an introduction to another level 1 podcast that I didn't even know I was going to get from this connection. So it's all very strategic in what I do, because again, otherwise I'd just be spreading myself so thin. So I'm making sure that I'm running through everything through a filter. Is this going to move me in the direction that I want, or is this going to be a detour? And if it's a detour, I have to say no to it.
Do you have your team research and filter some of that before you
No, I
actually
just
have?
I just know.
You just
It's
know.
like I've known people for 25 years, so I know who it's like. They will know. They could do all the research. They could do 3 hours of research and they wouldn't know the nuance of what it is I'm after. There's certain things that, you know, you just can't, like Joe Polish, who you and I both know of. I mean, the guy is so well connected. He can't outsource his networking. He can't delegate it to a team. He can't even delegate his email because, you know, I coached him for a long time, and he gets such personal emails from people that he can't let anybody read those things. So he always will have to be in his email in order to perform at the level. It's like, you know, LeBron can't outsource rebounding. Like, you know, you got to be on the court. It's just, there's certain things that you will always have a genius of. And, you know, that's really the moat around you if you use it right.
What about speaking engagements? Have you built a parameter of like how often you do that, or
I just
what
don't do
kind
them. I don't
of
do them
interesting?
because I don't like doing them. First of all, they're too much work for me for not enough return. Because no one will, like, if someone would pay me $100,000 a speech, I would do it. But I don't have the draw to get $100,000 a speech. And I have 3 kids that I'm not willing to leave unless someone's willing to pay me minimum of $25,000 a day, including the travel. So it's going to be a day of travel there, the speech, and a day of travel home. I won't do that for less than $75,000. But no one's going to pay me that. So I'm not going to do it. And also because, like, I can go up there and speak, but am I going to deliver $100,000, like a keynote that, you know, you can bring Tim Grover in, who's a friend of mine, who I think is one of the best speakers out there right now. He's the author of Relentless.
Yeah,
He
he's
doesn't
great.
even cost $100,000. And he's a better speaker. Like, he's going to get the standing ovation. I'm going to come up there and I'm going to yell information at you and I'm going to give you like tactical stuff, but that's not what people want out of a speaker. So in order for me to deliver $100,000 worth of value, I would have to do so much work, and I'm not willing to do it. So that's why I don't do speaking.
That's really insightful, man. It's insightful. So
I mean,
you're
if somebody would pay me even $50,000 to come to an event and just do a Q&A, I would do it because I love these podcasting and stuff,
yeah,
and I
you're
don't have to
great at it,
prepare
Greg.
for it. But like, to do what people see as a keynote these days, like an Ed Milet, Tim Grover, John Gordon, you know, it's a one act play, man. Like, you know, there's the ups and downs and hot. I just don't have time for that, or the interest. I just don't have the interest in doing that because you have to practice. And as an introverted type of person, I don't even like talking. So practicing the same speech over and over again, which I've done for my own events in the past, I just don't enjoy it.
Hmm.
So I'd rather, you know, there's other ways I'm going to make money.
You've leveraged teams. I feel like that's what you're really talking about. It's like technology, like I'm okay with, but like I leverage teams. How do you end up like sorting through? I mean, your media buyer is in Rio. Like that's pretty wild. All over the world, you found some people like this. How do you end up sorting through talent that allows you to be able to create the powerhouse of the team that you have?
Yeah. So with him specifically, you know, I have on my list here, I got to introduce you to my friend Ugis. So Ugis is from Latvia, who I met at an entrepreneurship camp. He used to teach at in Lithuania, of all places, for 10
Wow.
years. Long story. So anyways, Ugis is a digital recruiter, and he specializes in finding digital marketers outside of the United States for American companies. So you get A+ level talent at 70% of American prices. So and you know, if you're building teams, you need to know this guy because he can probably find you somebody. So I went to Ugis, and Ugis does all the interviews up until the point where he gets you down to 3 people. And, you know, he's got a system for it. And, you know, I trust him. He knows what I wanted, and he brought me the right person. And I only had to do 3 interviews with the 3 top candidates, and I was able to find the right person. So that's like an exceptional case. But in terms of the other people that work for us, a lot of them are clients. So I've been doing this for a long time, and people are clients for 3 or 4 years. And they're like, you know, and I was kind of doing my own coaching or my own business. And I just, you know, I love what you guys do. And I'd rather work for you than work for myself, as some people would. So we get a lot of people who have been clients over my 25 years experience wanting to join our company, and I know them, right? So do I really need to, you know, play the guessing game of, in this interview, are they telling me the truth? Are they really like this? Like you accelerate that so much. And we do this for our customer service. We go to our broader customer base and say, hey, our company's growing. We're looking for people who are this, this, and this. If you're this, this, and this is not for you, but here's the role. Please watch this short video and apply. And, so we're able to tap into our happy customers to find people who are already aligned with our values. And we don't have to worry about trying to communicate that stuff and figure out if we're aligned. So it's not something everybody can do right away. But the most important thing is for you to figure out how to get the stuff that's not worth your time off your plate. And the answer is always other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the right people, right, is what you're really doing, because you
Yeah.
can hire just anybody, but then it wastes more of your time than, finding the right key talent that's going to help them move the needle forward too.
Yeah. Yeah. In most cases, hiring for attitude and teaching skills is probably going to be an effective way, because most of the things that people are hiring for at the 6-figure level, I mean, there's a million people out there that can do it, right? So if you're making 6 figures, you're probably looking for someone to edit your videos, to run your socials, maybe to do email copywriting. I don't know what else, right? Like it's really like tasks at that level. Well, there's millions and millions of people out there who can do those things. They're all really junior level things, and they're all very SOP based stuff. And so going and making sure that, first of all, the person aligns with your core values, the mission of your company, the values of your company, whatever they are. And if you're like, I'm just hardcore profit, great. Go find out. There's lots of people out there who just want to be hardcore profit people. And there's some people who want to be heart-centered people, whatever. You need to go and find those people, because anybody can teach like somebody how to write an email or edit videos or whatever. Like, you just buy somebody a course, provided they write attitude, and next thing you know, they'll be doing the job. But if you find somebody who can do the job but has the opposite values of you, if they're a hardcore profit person inside a heart-centered business, eventually it's not going to end well.
I remember hearing this interview with Warren Buffett, and he was asking, like, how do you hire CEOs? Do you like train them up and then place them, and he's like, no, I just hire people that are great at being CEO and put them in there. So I feel like hiring, there's like, I can build someone up into that level, or hire like a real key person and put them in that role.
I don't think I like, with what I talked about at the low levels, I'm fine training them.
Okay.
But if you're talking about like a director of marketing or someone who's going to be a media buyer, you need to go and hire the person with the A+ skills.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they also need to align with your core values and your mission. So it'll be a longer search. But trying to take somebody who's a B+ to an A+ is almost impossible.
Mm.
Just go and hire the A+. You're going to pay more, but it's going to be worth it. You're going to get so much better results. Yeah. It's just, and if you're like, oh, I don't know how to separate their skill level, it generally all comes down to intelligence. And we used for a long time intelligence tests when we were hiring, and you can pay for intelligence tests just to figure out how smart somebody is. And 9 times out of 10, the smarter person's a better hire.
Yeah. Yeah. Craig, this has been, I mean, I could pick your brain all day long. You're a wealth of like tactics. You speak my language.
I'll have to come down for a reindeer ride in Leavenworth one day.
Heck yeah, man. We should definitely connect. We should definitely do that, man. Where can people find you more and connect with you further?
Yeah. So I use Instagram, and I respond to all my DMs on Instagram. So I'm at Real Craig Ballantyne on Instagram. I'm starting to try some more LinkedIn stuff. We have a large following there, but haven't done much. So you can also hit me up on LinkedIn, and then grab my book, The Dark Side of Discipline, on Amazon or darksideofdiscipline.com.
I'll put those links down below. Go check that out with Craig. Go follow him, connect with him further. And if you're still listening, don't forget to check out that free workshop down below. That's going to be a real helpful resource as you're growing and building online. Thanks for tuning in for this episode. Craig, thanks for being on, and we'll see you on the next show.